Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Crypto Entrepreneurs Podcast with your host, Charles. Enjoy.
What's up, everybody? It's episode 30 of the Crypto Entrepreneurs Podcast, and today we're going to be sitting down with Crypto Christopher Walken. You've probably seen him on Twitter. He's a miner. He's the co-founder of Hashrate. And most importantly, in my opinion, he's got this Discord, Proof of Walken, and it's kind of a one-stop shop for everyone who wants to know about mining, wants to learn how to get started, wants to stay up to date on what to mine, etc., etc. So we're going to be talking about that a lot today. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now, before we really get into the details of things, can you just give us a little bit of background on yourself? You know, who you are, what you were doing before crypto, and then your introduction.
Yeah, man. So for those that don't know, I'm still active duty Navy. Had a lot of stuff happen in the beginning. So just a little brief background. So I didn't grow up very much when I was younger. I mean, I wasn't poor by any means, but we had enough. So I kind of grew up with this mentality that when I got older, I wanted more, right? I wanted my own stuff. So after I graduated high school, I went to college for a little bit, and I dropped out. I hated school. So I ended up enlisting in the Navy. So once I joined, I basically, this was my first real paycheck. Before that I did carpentry stuff, under the table cash stuff, because I grew up in California, and most of the time they wouldn't hire a 15, 16-year-old to do anything. They wanted full-time workers. So I did under the table stuff. So it was my first real paycheck. So I didn't save anything. I lived paycheck to paycheck, just buying dumb stuff, my early 20s. Completely killed my credit, because a lot of people don't realize that, you don't make a lot when you first join the military, but banks are very willing to give you loans and credit cards and all kinds of stuff, because they know you got that government paycheck coming every month. So I took out loans. I got a credit card that was $10,000 limit, which, I was 22 at the time. So I'm like, holy crap. So I was buying all this stuff, not realizing that, you got to pay this stuff back. So I amassed a pretty good amount of credit card debt. Fast forward to 2010, a buddy of mine that was on my boat with me, I was at his house, and he knew I was a computer guy. I've been a computer guy my entire life. I started building computers late 90s. He took me into his garage and turned the light on, and he had all these HP computers. There's 40 of them. And I was like, what the hell is this? And he's like, I'm mining Bitcoin. I'm like, what the hell is Bitcoin? So he kind of told me what it was very briefly. He told me how I could mine it at home and stuff like that. So this was late 2010. I went home. I struggled for probably 2 days to try to figure out how to set up the damn CPU miner. Finally got it going. I let it go for a day. It mined half a Bitcoin. I was like, this is stupid. So I left for a while. Fast forward 2011. Same friend, he told me that they released a GPU miner for it. So I decided to start mining Bitcoin again. And then at that point, the price started taking off a little bit. I dug into it a little bit more. From there, I built my very first mining rig. It was middle of 2012. It was a 6-card rig that I threw into a milk crate just so I had something to put it in. From there, I kind of started looking into trading a little bit. Found Mt. Gox. I threw my Bitcoin on there. Normal noob mistakes, freaking selling low, buying high, just losing Bitcoin, spending Bitcoin on dumb stuff, video game items, more graphics cards, all that. I spent a ton of Bitcoin in the beginning. And then around 2014, which this was before Gox, I think I probably had about 6 figures worth of Bitcoin. And I was at this point, I think I was about a year out from where I could have got out of the Navy. And Mt. Gox happened. I lost everything. It took me down pretty hard. I still had a good amount of debt left over. So in 2015, I had to re-enlist again. So I re-enlisted for 6 years. Fast forward again, 2016. My same friend told me about Ethereum. At the time, I didn't want to mess with it because I got wrecked so hard by Bitcoin. But he talked me into it. I was basically like, what the hell? So I started mining Ethereum, and it was super profitable. And at the time, it was probably about $6. So I had a 2-card rig, and it was mining probably like 2 or 3 Ethereum a day. This was back in like January 16. So price started ticking up a little bit, and I was like, oh man. So I started building a couple of rigs. Fast forward again, May of 17, the price of Ethereum, I think, jumped up to like $300 or $400. I sold everything, which again, huge mistake, another lesson learned. But it completely helped me out. I paid off all my debt. I built basically all the mining rigs I have now that are my older ones. I built all those. Come forward again. Of course, most of us were around for the bull run. That's kind of when I started diving into the social media side of it. Prior to that, I basically was just like Reddit. There was Bitcoin Talk, Ethereum forums, stuff like that. But I kind of started looking at like YouTube. I didn't have a Twitter account at the time. So I stumbled upon a mining channel. I won't say who, but they were kind of putting out some bad info because at the time, it was basically the top of the FOMO period. This was probably December, January timeframe. Graphics cards were 2-3 times the price, and this guy was basically telling his viewers like, yeah, buy them, it's going up. And I put a comment, I'm like, dude, this is terrible advice. Graphics cards are 3 times the price, blah blah blah, whatever. And he basically told me, it was like, if you're so good at it, do it yourself. And that's just kind of clicked with me. So I looked into some other stuff, podcasts, stuff like that. I stumbled upon the Crypto Street guys. And I realized that there was this huge Twitter thing that I hadn't even looked into. And at the time, I didn't really think anybody would care what I had to say, right? I wasn't anybody. So I made my own Twitter account, and it was my name, right? So I had no followers. I just kind of started following a bunch of random people. I think it was probably around February, I came up with my first persona, which was Crypto Kenny Powers. And from there, I found Telegram. I jumped into I think it was the Aquarium that had like, Crypto Randy Marsh, Coin Yeezy, all those guys. Started talking to them, started talking about mining. That's when they started up whale reports. So I think it was around May. They had the big Twitter ban, and like all the small accounts got wrecked. We all got knocked off of Twitter. So I lost my original Twitter account. So I was only on Telegram. So I kind of started getting a following just in the Telegram community. I was writing articles for Well Reports. That's when I did like my first rig build guide. I did a couple of like, best GPUs, profitability articles, stuff like that. And it started taking off a little bit. So at the time, I wasn't going to jump back on Twitter because I was so pissed that I lost my original account. But I decided to jump back in. And then that's when I came up with the persona of Crypto Christopher Walken. Because Chris is my real name. I kind of just wanted a handle to have my name in it in case I ever want to just be me on Twitter. But it took off. From there, I jumped in with the Honey Miner guys. And then everything kind of went crazy from there. I made my own Telegram group before my Discord, which most people are in now, but I had a Proof of Walken Telegram group. And then by December, I think, of last year, it was at almost 1,700 members. It was basically out of control. So I had a bunch of people messaging me like, man, you need to make a Discord group. So in January, I launched the Discord group. It grew very fast. I think right now it's sitting at like 2,400 members. But yeah, that's where I'm at. I mean, we'll talk about hash rate, but that's me.
I just want to say congrats on your success so far. It's been absolutely crazy. Hearing your whole story it's one of the most beautiful progressions in crypto that I've heard. Started mining in 2010, 2011, so you were here pretty much from the start, which we don't get to hear a lot from people. A lot of people I talk to are, I joined 15, 16, and then a lot of people on Twitter, it's 2017, when things really started going crazy. Yep. So you've kind of seen the progression of the market as a whole. You've talked about some of your downfalls, trading. When I first got introduced and tried to trade, I, got wrecked myself. I think everyone goes through that. And you've kind of now started leaning more towards what you're good at, which is, setting up rigs, mining, finding things that are profitable, et cetera, et cetera. So I just want to say huge congratulations, and it's so awesome to finally hear this progression of yours and the success that you're seeing. So you briefly touched on Proof of Walken. and that's your Discord channel. So I know a lot of people know about it. You got 2,400 members, so I'm sure some of the people listening are already in there or at least know about it. But for the people that aren't, can you kind of just walk us through what it is and what you can find in that Discord? You did talk about, what inspired you to make it, but can you actually dive into the details of what we can find in that Discord?
Yeah, man. So I've basically built my entire following on helping people get into mining. And like I said, I have my Telegram group. It got too large. You can't follow Telegram. Telegram's a mess.
It's impossible. I don't have it anymore. I've downloaded it again to talk to people that are one-off, like, hey, can you jump on Telegram? But I hate Telegram.
Yeah, like I basically, so when the Veil launch went off in January, that was when I realized that I couldn't use Telegram anymore, because you had 1,700 people in my Telegram all trying to figure out how to mine Veil, and it just looked like a scrolling screen. Like, it looked like the Binance Telegram.
Just would not stop.
Yeah, but so basically that's why I made the Discord, and I think especially for mining, Discord is so much more organized, right? So if you go through my Discord, I think the biggest thing that most people talk about is the mining repository. And basically what I did there is, when I started it, it was a bunch of just, articles that I'd written, certain people that I follow, if they had, how-to videos, stuff like that, I threw that in there. And then I had people in the community find stuff, create content. But basically, it's a one-stop shop for mining. If you're brand new to mining, you have no idea what you're doing, you can go in the mining repository and basically start at the top and work your way down. And most people by the end, if you're not tech savvy, it might take a little more work, but you'll have a general idea. But I've had people join the Discord, not say a word. They'll just go through the mining repository, they'll build a rig, and then they'll jump in the general chat and they'll post a ton of pictures and just be like, hey, I know I never posted in here, but thank you for the mining repository. I built my rig, I'm mining this, I'm on Hive OS, and like, it's such an amazing feeling, right? Like, that's my whole purpose with everything that I've done in social media, is helping people in crypto and getting people into mining and trying to basically steer people away from the crazy amounts of false information about mining.
So yeah, you've got that mining repository. It's, like you said, a kind of one-stop shop. I feel like a lot of people that I have talked to that have looked into mining and now don't, just say that there is too much information out there. They hit YouTube or they hit, Twitter or even Google and just try to start from scratch, and there's just a clusterfuck of information that they can't sift through properly. So it sounds like you've kind of taken everything, put it into one nice long chat in Discord, and people can start at the top and just scroll through, and it kind of gives them this step-by-step on how to get started.
Yeah, that is definitely the biggest issue. Like, people that have no idea about mining, they don't know what the hell they actually need to look for.
Yeah.
So that's why I built that repository, because, someone might look up a rig build on YouTube, but they're not going to know about profitability. They're not going to know what profitability calculator to look at. It's in my repository. So, and then plus you have, 2,400 people. Most of us, as long as people do a little bit of research and they have a question on it, we're going to give them the answer. We're going to guide them through it. People DM me, they DM other admins, people on the Discord. Like, if people join my Discord and they spend money and they do their research, like, we're not going to let them fail. We're going to get them mining.
There we go. Yeah, that willingness to help is really, I think, key to anyone's success in this industry. Because so many people, have a hard time figuring things out, and they need someone to kind of walk them through some of the answers. But like you had mentioned, they need to kind of take those first steps themselves. So I really appreciate that you guys are here and willing to help. One other question I did have was that, say someone has been mining and they've got everything set up already. They're not in your Discord. What kind of stuff do you guys talk about with regards to finding new projects to mine? Is that just in the general chat? How does that work?
Yeah, so I'm actually super OCD when it comes to organization. So I have a ton of sub chats, right? Like, I have one sub chat that's just algorithms, and all the algorithms are spread out. So ET hash, Beam, Equihash, whatever, right? You have that section. I have it split up by NVIDIA, AMD. I have OS is split up, right? I have a couple of groups to where people can post if they want to sell parts, people are looking to buy parts, stuff like that. But I mean, the other thing too, and a lot of people don't realize I have it in my channel, is for people that try to look through the Bitcoin Talk announcements, if you haven't, it's a complete mess. Trying to sift through the Bitcoin Talk announcements between airdrops, scam ICOs, whatever, to find proof of work projects, you can't do it. So I have a website in my mining repository that actually aggregates every single proof of work project that launches on Bitcoin Talk announcement, and it sifts it through newest. So
there we go.
There's a cheat for people right there.
Right on. I'm sure you'd be willing to let us put that in the description for anyone to check out in the show notes. If you're cool with that, we can get that down there.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, you're pretty much, like you said, this is a one-stop shop. It's everything and anything that you need to know about mining, past, present, and future, for things to look out for. So you've kind of given us this rundown of what the channel is. So a lot of people, who may be listening to this have heard the term Bitcoin mining, or mining in general, and they may not know what that means. In your own words, can you guys explain what mining is, and what you need to do it, just so we can kind of give our listeners who know absolutely nothing about it some background on what we're talking about here?
Yeah, so we'll start with Bitcoin mining, or just mining in general. So I know most people think, right, you just hook up a mining rig. Most people don't really know what it does, and you're just printing magic internet money. But what people don't realize is that mining is actually securing the network, right? We all know that Bitcoin is the most secure network of any cryptocurrency, and that's because it has the highest hash rate. It's got ASICs on it, which I know a lot of GPU miners hate ASICs, but with Bitcoin, it's definitely a necessity. And for people that don't know what an ASIC is, it's basically a computer that only mines one algorithm, right? That's its only job. If you look at GPUs, you can mine anything, right? Except for Bitcoin, because you're never going to mine Bitcoin on GPU anymore. It's not 2013. But it's application specific, so it only mines one algorithm. So you have all these ASICs that are pointing at Bitcoin, right? SHA-256, and just mining, right? People talk about block rewards. So, right, we're getting close to the halvening. The block reward will drop down to 6.25. Right now it's 12.5. But basically, the block reward is the reward for the miners, right? The miners are hashing away. They're securing the network. They're moving all the transactions, right? So for people that don't know what a block is a block of transactions. Anytime that you send Bitcoin, that transaction goes on the blockchain. It's put into a block. And then all the miners start hashing away. And then once that block is solved, right, verifies that it's a real transaction, then those transactions are sent out, and then the block reward is sent out between the miners that found that block, right? So that's Bitcoin itself. Now, if you want to dive into Ethereum, Monero, the super crap coins that I'm mining right now, you're going to need GPUs. And there's also kind of a split between GPUs as well. So I was always an AMD fanboy. I love AMD. They're cheaper than NVIDIA, stuff like that. But as mining has progressed, the hash rate's gone up. Algorithms are switching away. AMD's become less viable. AMD, you can basically only mine Ethereum algorithms and Kryptonite algorithms to be profitable. You can mine other algorithms, but it's really not worth it. NVIDIA, you can mine anything. I've started buying a lot of NVIDIA cards, but I mean, if you look at the big spec plays for this year, Grin, Beam, Veil, they're all NVIDIA. So, I mean, I don't know where else you want me to go with that one.
No, I mean, we could sit and talk for, 3 days straight on this.
Yes.
I really like that you were just very brief and concise. You talked about what Bitcoin mining is. Then you kind of talked about the other bigs, Ethereum, Monero. And you talked about the difference between AMD and NVIDIA, which kind of just gives our listeners a very brief intro into what you need and what it is. So I really appreciate that. You kind of touched on it very briefly there with the absolute garbage that you're going to be mining. As of recently, I saw that you posted on Twitter about this I guess I would call it, I don't know exactly what you called it, but it was the 30-day shitcoin mining kind of challenge in a sense. And you're going to be mining, I believe, a different shitcoin. Shitcoin, when I say shitcoin, for anyone listening, it's just, an altcoin, something that isn't Bitcoin. But you're going to be mining a different one every day for 30 days. So I like to ask most of my guests this, what they're most excited for in the coming, 6 to 12 months. I know this is only a 30-day challenge, but can you just talk to us about what this is, and then also, in general for the next year, what you're most excited for?
Yeah, so I don't know. We've kind of hit this lull in mining right now. We had all the January releases, stuff like that. There's still a bunch of stuff that's profitable, but I was kind of just scrolling through the Bitcoin Talk announcements, and I'm like, you know what? I'm bored. Let's mine some crap. So when I say shit coins, I'm talking coins that they're not shilled on Twitter. You can't really search them on cash tags. Their difficulty super low. Their hash rate's low. Like I was mining a coin 2 days ago, and so I'm only using a rig right now that's 6 cards, and that coin I was 30% of the hash rate, and I think it's got less than a $3,000 market cap. So those are the shit coins that I'm talking about right now.
Absolute garbage. Yeah, this isn't your $5 to $10 million market cap. This is bottom of the barrel stuff.
Yeah, so I've joked about my QT wallet graveyard. So most of these are probably going to end up there, but you never know, man. One of them can pull 100x and pay for this entire month of debauchery that I'm doing right now.
I was going to say that's all you really need. So yeah, I actually had I don't know if you know Brandon James. I'm sure you guys are buddies. We had an episode on spec mining. So we got into really the details of how to look for these shit coins to mine, and kind of jumped into the details about mining. But okay, so that's your 30-day challenge. I'm excited to see where that goes. Can you talk to us about what you're most excited for over the next year? What are you working on? What projects are you looking forward to? What have you got for us?
So definitely my most exciting thing is Hashrate OS. So I was talking to a few people the other day, and things are kind of surreal right now. So I mean, I've been mining for a long time, but I never thought in my life I'd have my own OS. And the biggest thing is this OS is being built by miners. And I talk about my Discord a lot, but my Discord has become a crazy network of amazing miners and people that are willing to help. But they have paid me back tenfold because most of our alpha testers and beta testers have all come from this Discord. So we're extremely excited. I'm like, poor Bitcoin Broski, he has to keep reeling me in because we keep adding new features, and I'm like, I'm going to tweet this out, and he's like, don't freaking do it. And I'm like, come on, man. I want to freaking just, I want to tell everybody what we're working on, but, there's too much competition in this space, so I got to keep it under wraps. But, yeah, man, I am so excited about Hashrate OS.
Right on, man. Yeah, it's tough. Everyone's kind of gunning for their share of the market, so you really do have to keep things under wrap. I talk about who I'm having on, but I try to keep it at a minimum. Obviously, there's, a million podcasts, but you guys, I'm really looking forward to this. And I just did want to touch on something that you talked about there, and that was this kind of network effect that your Discord has. I have a lot of people on here, and I ask for advice from them and advice they can give my audience, and they always talk about this network effect. And I think it's especially true in crypto. Everyone's really trying to work together, kind of feeding off of each other, and you can use it, like you said, to do this beta testing that they've done, and they've paid you back tenfold. And this is just a free Discord you've put together. So I think for a lot of people out there listening, I just wanted to kind of throw that out there that, you may think that you're giving away your goods and services for free, but in the end it does come back, and you can be paid back tenfold for that kind of stuff. So I'm looking forward to this. I really appreciate you talking about it and giving us what you can. I know you have to keep a lot of it under wraps, but I really appreciate that. And before we end this talk, I just want to get, one big overarching piece of advice for anyone who's trying to get started. And I don't want you to use the cop out, join my Discord, because I'm stealing that. for anyone who's listening who wants to get started, we've talked about it in depth here for the last, 25, 30 minutes. This Discord really is the one-stop shop on where to get started. But can you give them just one other, overarching tip?
So the biggest things when it comes to mining is figuring out what you really want to mine, if it's profitable, because that's the biggest thing that people don't realize is that the price of electricity will kill you, and it will make or break how much money you're going to make, how long it's going to take you to ROI your rig, right? That's the two biggest things that I tell people is cheap electricity and cheaper parts. There's a big stigma with people about buying used components. Most miners buy used components. So the cheaper that you can get stuff, the faster you can ROI. The cheaper that you can get electricity, the faster you can ROI. And the biggest thing I tell people is use Google. It's 2019, right? We have every bit of information at our hands. There is no reason to not know, right? There's YouTube. You can Google videos for YouTube on how to build rigs. You can Google what is mining profitability, right? Like, I know you said my Discord, but for people that want to just get started on their own, Google is your friend.
There we go. I mean, yeah, I want to almost say there's no other answer. Go join the Discord and you'll have everything you need. But there are other resources out there. So I appreciate you, saying YouTube, Google, you can find this information. And you did touch on, what I think is the biggest thing. You guys are doing this to make money. And I feel like so many people get caught up in, I got to have this nice rig. I got to spend all this money. And you talked about, cutting costs wherever possible. Your electricity, I'm out in California right now. Electricity's stupid high here. And Oof. Then, yeah, exactly. Luckily, my association pays for the electricity in my garage. So free electricity out there.
Nice.
Yeah, free electricity out there. But I'm in California, a lot of stuff is unprofitable. It's not feasible. And then, there is this kind of aversion to buying used parts, but I think that if you can get some used parts at a good deal, it is worth it in the long run because you will ROI faster, and that is the name of this game. It's to make money. So I really appreciate you going over that. We talked about so much stuff today, and I really appreciate you coming on, man. For everyone who's listening, please, I will have the Discord link in the show notes. You need to check it out if you're not already in there. So again, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, man. Good talk. And like I said, the other thing too is I saw on Twitter, I know that you're full-time crypto now, so that's what I'm striving for myself. Hopefully,
okay.
My contract's up in 2 years, and hopefully hash rate takes off, and I'll be able to join and then really do some mining stuff.
That's funny. I actually did want to ask you about that. How do you find the time to be on Twitter and Discord and helping all these people constantly when you're active duty Navy? Like, how do you do it?
I don't sleep.
There we go.
That's really what it is. Like, that's why when people make excuses and they say they don't have enough time, like it's just a cop out. Like, legitimately during the week, I'm up at 5 and I probably go to bed after midnight. Yeah. Every day. So there's always time. Like, if this is something that you really want to do and you have goals and you want to try to get them, like, put in the time, put in the effort, and it pays off. Like, I had 500 followers in May of 2018, right? And I just kept pushing. And then, I never thought that I would get where I'm at now so quickly, but set goals and set realistic goals. And if you beat them, then good on you.
Yeah, man, that's actually really funny because I think it was yesterday I had on Bagsy, and that whole episode is on setting goals. So it'll be a nice transition to go from that to this episode, and you're ending it with now set these goals. But yeah, people don't be lazy. I was working full time and I was putting out episodes of the podcast. It was obviously not as great as it could have been. And I, was tired all the fucking time, and it was really taking a lot out of me, but it's doable. You're doing it. You're probably, doing it much better, or you are doing it much better than I was. So I can't wait till you're full time. So again, it has been great talking to you. I hope we can get some people excited on mining, and get them in that Discord so that they can set up their first rig.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on.
All right, guys, that wraps up another episode. And I just want to take a quick second to ask you a huge favor. If you found anything in the episode helpful, or it's been inspiring to you in any way, I just ask that you share it with your friends, family, anyone you know on social media, and hopefully we can help them out as well.